Hello and welcome to Kankakee Podcast, where we talk about the people and places of Kankakee County. I'm Jake Lamore, and this is a very special episode where about a month ago by now that this episode is being released, you may or may not have heard about this. There was a special TikTok that the Kankakee Public Library did that featured former President Barack Obama. And it got national news attention. This isn't the first time that that's happened at the Kankakee Public Library and their TikTok. They've also had national news coverage attention in the last previous years, I know. But here to talk about that is Corinne, Celia, and Mary from the Kankakee Public Library. Welcome, ladies.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We're excited.
Of course, I'm excited to have you here. And so I thought it would be cool to hear the behind the scenes on how this TikTok with former President Barack Obama came into play, the behind the scenes of this whole thing. So I don't know where we start with this.
I mean, we can start with the message that we got from the Obama Foundation.
Okay, let's start with that.
Well, it was a couple months ago, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So this is
April, maybe?
Yeah, like
maybe
April.
Longer.
We received a message from the Obama Foundation saying that they wanted to collab with us, and we didn't really know what the project consisted of yet. We didn't even know that former President Obama would be in it until we had the Zoom meeting with them where we were going through ideas of what we could possibly do. And then we had the idea of doing a book banning, representation. And they mentioned on there, well, maybe we can possibly get President Obama to be a part of it. We were like, wait, what? What?
Right. You didn't think that. I mean, of course, it's his foundation, but you're just like, oh, he's got 1 billion people working.
Exactly. He's a busy man. Why would he do a TikTok?
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
What?
Yeah, even though he's not president anymore, I'm sure he's involved in all kinds of different business affairs or nonprofit organizations, family life.
Right.
He's got, kids in college now,
Yeah.
I think. They're college age, so, a busy man.
We were all just like, oh, okay. Cool.
So
and then when we hung up, we were like,
So when the Barack Obama Foundation approached you, they're like, hey, we want to do a TikTok, and what was the message of this TikTok?
So it was more so of President Obama has always been headstrong about libraries and reading, book bannings, things like that. So they wanted to find a way to incorporate his support for libraries. And they chose, what was it, about 4 other ones? 3 other ones?
Three others.
3 others.
Yeah.
And we were one of the 4 that they chose. Mm-hmm. But at the time, I don't think I knew about the other 3. We just knew that we were one or a library that he wanted to, support. And we were happy about that. So that was something that they wanted to do, was to show his support for libraries.
And if the staff at the Kankakee Public Library, and I know, Celia, you've been a big part of all the TikToks that have done really well previously, because it was about, I don't know if it was the same time last year. It made it in the New York Times?
Yeah, it was in the New York Times.
Yeah.
That was from Mary's TikTok,
Mary's
the
idea,
Wes
yeah.
Anderson one that she came up with. So we were recognized because after that, our TikToks started being more recognized than they were before.
And if it wasn't probably for that, Mary's idea on that Wes Anderson, there could be a chance that this Barack Obama TikTok wouldn't have come into play.
Yeah, I definitely think that was.
Yeah.
well, and we got like a shout out from the ALA president.
We did.
Yeah.
We did on the Times.
They were like interviewing her for the Times like 100, I think.
Yeah.
And she shouted out several like libraries on TikTok, and
She shouted out
she
2
mentioned
main
us.
ones. She mentioned us with Milwaukee Public Library. If
was
you've
really great.
seen their TikTok
Milwaukee,
channel,
yeah.
oh my God, they are
Milwaukee
phenomenal.
is amazing.
And it's like, to be named with Milwaukee is kind of like, oh my God, they see us too. What?
And Milwaukee's like in the
Top
tens of
tier.
thousands,
Yeah.
to
Top
hundreds
tier.
of thousands
They're
of
really
followers
good.
too.
Yes.
So
Wow.
they've built an amazing following for
Yeah.
themselves. So.
And I think the Wes Anderson one is what set the bar for us, because after that, we could have just had a one-hit stop shot, and that would have been it. But after that, the TikToks have been equally great.
The pressure was on,
Yeah.
right?
Not on purpose though, but
No,
purpose.
but it
Yes.
happens.
Yeah.
The funniest thing was I think I always was like, I don't want to do any of these TikToks, please. I just don't want to be in these. And then Mary was like, well, you like Wes Anderson. Will you do this? Like, you know, the aesthetic. And I was like, sure, Mary. And it's like, and we did it. And it was just really random. And I was like, I have a beret. And so I was like, I can bring that.
a yellow one. You did.
But it was just really unexpected.
Well, it was just kind of I'd seen the trend and I like love Wes Anderson's aesthetic and everything and went to like our our adult services assistant supervisor at the time and I was like, we should do this. It kind of fits libraries and stuff. And it was just kind of an organic thing. It did take some organizing to do, but I reached out to like, a couple other people who I was like, you love this, you'll love this. And I knew she had a beret. So.
I know, I had a lot
She
of
was ready.
I was ready.
I knew she had a beret, so, why not?
I do feel like I got a little bit ahead of myself. We probably should have started off with how did the library start doing TikToks? And when did that start?
Well, that started, so during the pandemic, right before the pandemic hit, I had just started working at the library in 2019. I know, right? It's only been since 2019. I feel like I've known them for a lifetime.
It's the pandemic. The pandemic felt like a decade, so it feels like we've known each other longer.
Exactly. So around that time, TikTok wasn't as huge as it was during the pandemic. But I ended up being promoted later that year in 2019. And then the pandemic hit. And the promotion consisted of teen coordinator. So I started doing programs and things like that for teens. We had a decent number of teens and youth and the community supporting coming in. That was when family reading nights were like huge at the library. And then the pandemic hit. We weren't really open. We were only open for staff to come in. Then we started doing curbside. So we were trying to find a way to connect with the community and more so to connect with our teens. We saw that TikTok it had a huge response at that time. Because at that time, most of us couldn't go to work or, interact with other individuals. So we would scroll. That was our way of interacting with each other. And my supervisor at the time, Camille Rose, she's going to be so mad at me. She's going to be so mad at me. She does not like when we say her name. She does, behind. But she always pushes us to do, she'd be like, you can do that. Like, the reason there's a mural on our second floor is because of Mary. But it's also because Camille's like, you can do a mural on this wall. Mary's like, okay.
Like, Mary, did you do it yourself or you found someone to do it?
I did it's my painting. But I mean, I had a ton of help with like filling in the colors and getting it done and completed. But the faces,
I drew a shaky square. So you're welcome.
Yes, I couldn't have done it without Kurt.
And there's more than one mural in the library.
Yeah, there's one on the first floor that's been there for I think almost the entire time the library's been in that location. And the second floor, we have one in the teen zone. We did it this February.
For our Roland B. Johnson.
For Roland B. Johnson.
And we renamed it.
Yeah.
But
so that one has about 8 people in it. Yeah. It's about an 11-foot wall. Mm-hmm. So, but it's the largest thing I've ever done. So,
it's phenomenal.
Like my background is in painting and drawing. So, there's some precedent. I believe it's not like I've never drawn anything.
She just got up there and scribbled.
It was like, I'm like digressing from TikTok. But yeah, that's how Camille is though. Because I was like, I don't even know what kind of paint to use. Like it's not the same as painting on canvas.
No, you had to do some research on that one.
Yeah, and I was like, what if it all like flakes off next year? Or, we put all this money into it. The faces are just peeling. Yeah.
People are crying.
Yeah.
The paint is just
twinkle of Roland's
sweating.
Eyes.
Yeah, we just smear it.
Yeah.
It gets too hot in the library.
It takes its own life. People start adding things to it, changing it up a little bit with their fingertips. And then the books get all painty on them.
Yeah, exactly.
But getting back to TikTok and then back to the one of the more recent ones that featured former President Barack Obama, you were chosen between 4 different libraries to do this, or there were 4 that were doing the same?
There were 4 in total that were part of the project.
Yeah, we didn't really know.
Okay.
They just approached us, and then it kind of came out in the Zoom what they were looking for, kind of. But they gave us a lot of leeway. So we actually pitched something, and they're like, they didn't love it, and so we went back to the
What was the
drawing
theme of
board.
summer reading?
Our theme was Find Your Voice.
Find Your Voice.
So every
that
year,
was the original.
Yeah, so
version?
every year
Okay.
summer reading is it has a theme. Like sometimes it's pause to read. It always has it centers around reading, but this year our theme was Find Your Voice, and that's through another organization, ILA. And but as we were talking and brainstorming and stuff, we're like, well, that kind of fits a lot of what they're looking for, what they've mentioned in this and brief, basically. So we kind of were like, well, how do we tie in Find Your Voice and maybe ban books, that kind of thing.
And they weren't completely thrilled with that first idea.
I can't even remember what we said exactly. I think we had talked about maybe like
book
a book tossing or something like transitions. We had something that was very transition.
It was like the
heavy.
Santa Claus hat transition that happened on TikTok where you just toss the hat.
Oh yeah.
Somebody catches it, puts it on. Like
that's been done so many times, but not just with a Santa hat, but with almost anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're throwing it into the camera.
I mean, it was kind of we knew we wanted to have a lot of staff involved, and we knew that it needed to have a book in every frame, and so we were like, how do we get all those pieces into the TikTok and make it feel kind of fun and natural, and then splice in President Obama because he's filming at another location.
Yeah, we don't necessarily know where that is.
Yeah.
Correct?
It's like
I'm
we're
assuming.
not dancers.
No.
So
that's what they
we're
told
not
us.
going to be able to do a fun dance and then also maybe ask Obama to do the dance.
Right? Can you
I don't
dance
like
with
you, Mary,
us?
but I could dance.
Yeah.
I don't know about Obama.
I mean, I know he likes his music.
I'm sure
so
President Obama could pick it up very quickly, but the rest of us.
He's got a playlist that a lot of people follow, right? I don't know if it's
The song
summer
that was
playlist.
on the TikTok was from his summer playlist.
Oh, okay.
Burna Boy.
See,
Burna Boy. Right.
Yeah. So that ties in well to the TikTok. So which of these scenes in the TikTok that we've seen, which is only 50 seconds, by the way.
It is.
And if for those that don't know a lot about TikTok, they're usually very short videos. I mean, the most is what? 2 minutes, or they can go longer than 2 minutes.
Now it's 10 minutes.
Now it's 10, okay.
Minutes, but there's 60 seconds. 15, 60, 3 minutes.
There's probably
10 minutes.
Second.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot now. It used to be up to 60 seconds, but now it's you can do short film on there.
So which one was the hardest to capture?
Oh, The Hate You Give, I think, was hard.
It was,
but that's because of the low ceiling.
I think the Color Purple was probably the hardest.
That one did take a while.
It took a long time.
You're right, and it wasn't because of the staff or anything. It was because more so of the filming equipment that we had in use. But other than that, I think The Hate You Give probably took the longest. But the rest of them, because we went through the Anti-Racist Baby in seconds.
Which was surprising because we decided to use kids in the shot. And we really debated that.
Are you gonna ruffle some feathers with that?
Yeah. And if a kid is unhappy or crying, and then do we want to feature kids?
Right.
Right.
Well, it all comes back to the kids, right?
Yeah.
And obviously there is a theme here. All of the books are pretty much touching on hate or racism or any type of exclusion. Right. So that's kind of the overall theme, and which goes in well with book banning has been going on quite a bit lately, once again in the area. So that also kind of ties in with that. But the idea is let the book transform you to another world. And then that's at the end, we get transformed to Barack Obama's office or wherever that is, and just like, what? And he's drinking out of a Kankakee Public Library coffee mug. That's where my jaw dropped, and everyone else was just like, oh, like this wasn't just like stock footage that they bought off like, iStock or anything, like this is legitimate.
That's so funny.
I
was like so stressed over that.
No, you were.
So yeah, you had to, did you ship that to him?
Yeah,
or
my coworker Suzanne and I, we got a cup, but we do a lot of cricketing and crafting at the library.
Oh, sure.
So Suzanne and I made the cup.
Okay.
It was like a multi-floor thing because
Yeah.
adult services like Hannah Swale had their young were like part of that
Mhm.
whole group, and I think they were the ones that ended up mailing the actual
Yeah,
box.
Suzanne
It was
packed
a
it like
whole-
it was a baby, like the
Yeah.
softest. Like we stuffed it full of.
And you
stuff.
made two just in case.
We made two just in case one broke, but
Yes.
it was hard.
Yeah,
I was
because
terrified.
shipping, we all know how that works
Mhm.
out. And I can't imagine the thought going through your mind as you're packing this thing. Of course, you're going to pack it like it's a little baby because you're like, this is going to touch Barack Obama's hands. Like,
I
oh
was
my
just hoping
gosh.
it wasn't crooked when he got it.
Yeah, and probably actually making the imprint on the mug. You're like, this has to be perfect.
Mhm. Pretty much.
Yeah, I
It was
went
stressful.
downstairs a few times and they were like,
I know it was like surgery. It was like
sweats.
Yeah.
It was like being a
Dripping
surgeon.
down
It
your
was
face.
like because it was stressful.
they're like, it's crooked.
Did you send him anything else besides that?
No.
Like
We
any
Yeah.
other?
joked about like,
we-
oh, should we include like something?
Yeah,
but
and the idea was too like
it was a tight.
after
turnaround.
proposing this idea, and they loved the idea of the phone falling transition. The idea was to propose to them also for President Obama to have some form of KPL something in his shot, because we didn't want people to think that it was a stock X footage that we found and just clipped it on. We want them to know we collabed with the Obama Foundation. You all can share this, but it's kind of like, oh, look what this library did. They used,
Mhm.
footage of President Obama sitting and reading. But
Mhm.
we wanted them to know, like, we collabed with them. Like, this is ours. So we proposed the idea of possibly a mug, but we talked through like a shirt. We talked through
Yes.
like a some type of clip, a button, or like it was a
Yeah.
few things. But the mug, they loved the mug idea.
The mug was great because it
yeah.
it kept it classy.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I think it would have been, it wouldn't have had, I mean, it still would have been cool. Like he's sitting there wearing a Kankakee Public Library shirt. But
I kept saying the shirt. I
yeah.
love the shirt idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't even sure we would even get him yet. So I was like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
like the
that's
mug
true.
could go anywhere.
That's
So I was like, that's fine.
Because at this time, we didn't know if he would actually be in it. They just
Okay.
suggested, well, maybe we can get President Obama.
We'll see what his schedule looks like.
Yes.
I was like, okay.
And we found out, well, he's agreed to do it. We're like, what? Okay. Can he get a mug?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then also the way that first where the circle of people, the TikTok opens up around, and all of you are in that circle, or was
These
it
two.
just Celia and?
No, it was these two.
Oh, it was
no,
just
no,
No,
I wasn't
she
in
wasn't.
it.
No,
I
it
was
was
just
her.
behind
It
the
was just
scenes.
me.
Oh, okay.
You saw her in
Hannah
the
was-
back.
yeah.
If you watch closely,
Oh.
she's in the back
I
reading the
think-
book.
You were in the back?
She was.
Okay.
I was.
I was gonna
was a
say, I
Easter
thought,
egg.
yeah.
Maybe in the very background. Yeah.
She was.
Because I was like doing a little bit of like
Oh.
extra work for
Mhm.
for Celia.
Yeah, I had different hair at the time. No
You
big
did.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
was
because
just-
this was shot back in April or May or June.
Was it
June.
that
So,
was June.
yeah.
We actually did the opening shot last.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, because we wanted to kind of,
What a day that was.
we talked about like how are we going to start this.
Mhm.
So we kind of figured it would be easier to do that part last.
They
once
still
we'd
didn't
done
know
that.
when we shot it. I just shot something.
Yeah.
Because
did.
I saw it, but it's hard for me to explain
Mhm.
what I see. I just shoot it, and then they're like, "Oh, okay."
I had a sinus infection that day.
You
I was just literally like, oh my gosh.
And I bring that shot up because I don't know if that's because I heard Brian Prairie from Pathfinder helped you make
man.
something to shoot some of these
Yes.
shots, right?
So I was waiting till we got to that part. But
Oh, okay.
yes, Brian Prairie and Matt Olszewski, Little
Okay.
Matt, shout out. I ended up telling them about this opportunity, and anytime I have a project like this or something as exciting, I love to include Brian and Matt. I told them about the project, and at first, me and Matt worked through, if I could show y'all the very first original DIY phone slider that Matt spent his time and made. It was all wood. First of all, it was 2x4s.
Wow.
He made it with 2x4s. We would come here, we would try it out. We tried so many things. We even tried it without wood, without the very first prototype. We tried it with, it was a lot. We tried it with fishing line. We tried it with a backdrop stand. And it was a lot. We tried it with boxes, and it was a lot. But then we finally were like, you know what? What if we made some type of foam slider? And Matt's like, okay. So of course I never see what Matt is talking about until he does it.
Yes.
He ended up going home. He had some 2x4s in his garage. He said he went home. He made it. He texted me. He's like, hey, Celia, I made it. He sent me a picture. I'm like, how tall is that? It was about almost 8 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
It was tall. So we came here. We tried it out. And it was still a little rickety because of the wood. And it was a lot of other things he did to try to make it smooth and all of that. But it was pretty cool to see the amount of effort and time that he put into it. So then he's like, okay, so you want to take this to the library and you all try it out? I'm like, let's ask Brian what Brian thinks
What he thinks
we can do.
first.
Because anytime, like, if me and Matt, like, because I used to work with Pathfinder, so anytime me and Matt couldn't figure or think of something, Brian always come in and he's like, oh, well, just do this. And we're like, well, why didn't we think of that? And Brian, it's just so effortlessly with Brian, it's just like, well, just do this.
Yes.
So when Brian saw that, he was like, oh, well, we could just make a DIY phone slider. He knew how to make one, so we ended up scheduling a day. We spent, I think it was a Sunday before Juneteenth. We spent that Sunday making, well, he made it. Me and Matt were just in the back like,
yeah, that looks
great. We were holding pieces while he was cutting it. We was like,
helping your dad build.
It's like helping your dad build.
Moral support.
Right.
Moral support.
Moral support. Yeah.
We were there and we jumped in when needed. But the actual phone DIY slider is 8 feet tall.
And you would not
It's
think
a PVC
something.
pipe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And some
PVC
wood,
pipe.
but
It is. Yep. We had to use a fishing line to give it more of a controlled fall. But that was all Brian and Matt. It was.
Well,
And it made it
kudos to
much
those
easier.
guys.
Exactly.
Man,
Exactly.
that's amazing.
So, yeah.
Okay, so obviously the TikTok featured with former President Barack Obama. You can actually see it on the Kankakee Public Library's Facebook. It's an Instagram reel as well, and then actual on TikTok.
Yes.
So I'm not sure. I know on Facebook it's got close to 23,000 views,
I didn't even
which is
see
pretty
this.
good.
Wow.
I didn't see what the Instagram numbers were, but I assume,
I'm
it's
sure that
pretty decent. But still, it's just cool
Mhm.
to see this collaboration and just learn the behind the scenes of. Sometimes you don't realize when you see a TikTok and it's 50 seconds long, you don't realize all the work that goes into it. People sometimes they look at it and they're like, oh, I could do that. That's so easy, but then to hear like all the time,
Yeah.
the three of you and the other staff members of the Kankakee Public Library spent
Mhm.
on just this one TikTok,
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, there's actually like 6 or 7 of us
Yeah.
that like got together and talked about it, and really had to like think about all the moving pieces of because we have to run a library and and
So do our jobs.
yeah, right. Make sure the desk is covered. Like we can't just leave the desk and make a TikTok. We've got to make sure there's someone to hit print and to check out books and stuff like that. So there were like spreadsheets almost trying to figure out, okay, if we do this day, we'll have this person, and this person's available this day, and there's a lot of emails going back and forth. So there was a lot of coordinating and stuff.
Yes.
But anyone who was like excited about it, we wanted them to be able to be in it. So that was the cool part. So I think it was about 14 other people besides us, possibly, or maybe
In
14.
the TikTok?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
altogether.
It was enough of us. Yeah.
Mhm.
It was.
Anti-Racist Baby was like one of the biggest ones, right?
Yeah, that one and that
And
bit of
Alice in
coordinating.
Wonderland was a
Yeah, Alice
big
in
one,
Wonderland
too.
was
Yeah, yeah. And we even had like our director in on, like she was in that shot, and it was cool because like if you look at each shot, I think there's somebody from almost every department for the
Yep.
most part.
Yep.
Yes.
So it's a neat way to like have everybody kind of get a chance to show their face. And
We also got a way to promote each floor.
Mhm.
Yes,
Um,
and that right. I noticed that. You kind of start at the top and work your way down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, you go up.
Well, no, circulation, I guess, would be first.
I was gonna say, and when I was editing it, I wasn't thinking about that. Like,
Yeah.
I should start from the 4th floor and work my way down. But I liked that Alice in Wonderland was last. I liked for that clip to be last to capture the type of scene that it was. The Hate You Give was right where it needed to be because it started off with her dropping the phone. So I'm like, well, I might as well put her in the first scene where she's dropping the phone. And then after that, what was it? the anti-racist baby,
Anti-racist baby, the color purple.
the color purple, and then the hate you. I mean,
Alice in
Alice in
Wonderland,
Wonderland.
yeah. And I think we did talk about, like, do you think people notice if we don't do it? Like, we do think about that really hard and think through that sometimes. And then we're like, are we overthinking this? Because do people, like, memorize the library and be like, oh, this is that floor. This is, and that's cool that they do. But, yeah, so we, like, do have some back and forth on, like, do we need to be very, very detail-oriented, or do we need to just maybe feel more about what's the vibe? What's, what...
It's the vibe. I think we go by vibe.
We go by vibes a lot. Yeah.
I mean, the important part is you got all of them in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's the most important part. The order
Yeah.
doesn't
It
necessarily
didn't matter because
matter.
nobody paid attention to that's the third floor. Why is the third floor last?
Honestly, I
Like,
didn't think about it until we
No.
just started
Yeah,
talking
exactly.
about it. I was
wasn't
like,
that,
oh, yeah,
yeah.
you started at the fourth floor and then... No, wait a minute. You didn't do it that way.
Yeah,
You were all over the
circulation,
place.
I
But
think it goes.
that's
yeah.
fine.
Mhm.
You got them all in. That's all that
Exactly.
matters. So
Exactly.
And we did, like, I think we had a whole email chain about, okay, where are we going to do each one of these? Like, where's the most aesthetic spot, or what fits each book? And there was a whole, like, outfit. We had group meets going on about, okay, what is everybody going to wear? And they were, like, sending pictures of, like, I have this.
Mhm.
And I created, like mood boards,
Like a mood
basically,
board.
for each one, too. So, and that was, like, also one of the reasons, like, what books we chose, too, is looking
Right.
at, like,
Their aesthetics.
yeah,
and the style.
we didn't want it to feel like a costume.
Yeah, but just
Right.
like the style and the
The
feel
wardrobe
of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
And that's where the color came in on each scene as well.
Mhm.
Matching like the anti-racist baby more so of a
It's a lot of oranges and teals,
Yeah.
just very bright,
mhm,
like
right.
fun
and then,
colors.
like the color purple is more so purplish. And then the hate you give was like red, blue, and a little bit of like a hint of purple in there. So yeah, it was a whole lot. Because at one point they wanted to do it outside, and I'm like, you can't drop the phone from outside.
But it would have been
there's a good
beautiful.
chance.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know that right
We're like,
now.
would
You would have
it
needed
matter,
multiple
though?
phones that you could possibly ruin. Right?
She was like, there was a point where she was just chucking her phone into a box with like a blanket in
so
it.
worried about your phone. I was like, oh my
See
god.
all the risks involved for this TikTok.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
But I wanna
or when like the opening shot, they had to like do.
Oh, I dropped your phone in a trash
and
can.
then
Turn upside down,
drop
drop it.
onto like a hard floor, so you didn't want to miss the garbage.
My
Just gotta
phone has been
dust
through a
off
lot.
the
Yeah.
dirt and the
Yeah.
garbage off of it.
It was a clean garbage.
Oh, it was clean.
It was clean.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Well,
good.
that's
It had a
good.
black sweater in it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nice.
a black thing.
Oh,
So you didn't have to like take a banana peel off of it or anything
No.
like that.
No, right. No.
Everything becomes filming equipment eventually.
Facts.
You know.
Yeah,
You
there's
use
so many
what's
different
around.
things you could
Mhm.
use for sure.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to reiterate some might miss the importance of doing things like TikTok, and really it all comes back to reaching the next generation, right, or the current generation, because they may not know what the library offers or what the library does. So that's the reason why you're doing all this,
Right.
this putting all this effort into social media, is just because that's where the generation now is and the next generation is too, and you want them to be like, hey, there's a library
Right.
and we offer all these things, just so you know.
Yeah.
Right.
And most of them are either free or they're cost effective.
Yeah.
So that's the importance, I would imagine, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that was to go back to, because we kind of got sidetracked with your mural. But that was one of the main reasons, or the main reason why we started TikTok, was because we wanted to communicate, we wanted to connect with our community without actually getting to see them. Because the library, we have a lot of patrons that come in just to see certain faces, just to, because it's a routine of theirs. They'll come in, sit in, they'll come in and see our circulation supervisor, Des, because her face, the very first thing you see when you walk in, is it brightens some people's day. And then to not be able to have that during the pandemic really kind of messed up a lot of things. And then we had a good response from our youth community, our teen community coming in, and then the pandemic kind of ruined that. So in order to still be connected to them, we kind of like invaded their space a little bit, and we ended up getting a TikTok. So one of our very first TikToks that got recognized was when the high school was going to state for football. And myself, along with Johnny, who is now the violence prevention director, and as well as Desney, who is the circulation supervisor, we ended up doing a mock TikTok where we took some photos from the football team and we mocked their poses basically like wishing them luck on their game. So that kind of blew up on Facebook, and I was like, oh, the library has a TikTok. That was like our second, I think, TikTok that we did. The very first one was a trend that we were trying out, and I think Mary was in it. It was, I don't remember, but I remember I was on the floor doing something weird.
I was on the floor. I was like trying to remember what you were talking about. It was like, isn't it like a country song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smooth talking. It was a Miley Cyrus.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I remember.
And you would cut from person to person. You were on the floor.
Yeah, so I ended up on the floor. I think, did I have to? I probably did. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to go back and check that one out.
Yes.
Go through the archives.
Yeah. So there's like 2 accounts for the library,
exactly. And that's what I was getting to.
Because the Teen Zone has
and that's where we started. The Teen Zone started the TikTok, so it was with that. And when I noticed the recognition we were getting, I started like really working in on that one, trying to include staff, stuff like that. So then we have another one that's more so adult services. It reaches the adult services patrons, and that's the one that everything else is on. And that's when we all were like, we all just ended up like working on that one together. So it's like the Kankakee Public Library Teen Zone still had one, but I kind of like neglected it in a way because we all decided to just, and it wasn't on purpose. It was just like.
It just happened.
It just happened.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's like, well, this trend isn't maybe like, I don't know if teens will want to watch it or something, you know, like what teens get on their For You page is very different than what, you know.
And it was more
20s,
so
30-somethings.
And it was more so reaching library patrons or the community. So teens at first, my understanding was we want to reach teens with this TikTok channel or page, but we reach the Kankakee Public Library community or Kankakee community with both pages, which is awesome because we both get a really good response. And now it's more so of making sure that each page gets the same attention, same work, stuff like that. But it was an awesome opportunity to do this, especially with President Obama, because at this time it was like they see us.
Yeah.
they saw us. Like that's cool.
That's awesome. Anything else you want to get out there about the the Barack Obama TikTok before we close out, or anything about the public library that you just want to put out there?
Well,
oh my gosh! You have the calendar of events.
Just a quick, just a quick plug.
August 5th. No. But no, good. That's I think the main thing is come check out our TikToks, our Instagram. Hopefully, we try to sprinkle in all the resources or events going on. There's so many different things that it's like, oh, I didn't know you guys had a TikTok, or I didn't know you did that. There's a lot of resources and services
at the library. Yeah, that's what my biggest thing is. Like, it was great with this Obama Foundation collab, but I'm like, our whole message is still being a library, serving the community. So it's like, support your libraries.
And
by all libraries.
By support, it's just come in.
Yeah.
Get a library card. Like, there's so many. It's easy to get a library card. I think sometimes people feel like we're locking that down and like don't want to give them library cards.
And then there's things that you could do even without a library card.
Yeah, so there's so many resources that are available. Like we have like a free notary. We have faxing and
computers.
Yeah, a library of things. If you do have a card, and there's a Card for Kids Act. So a lot of, if you maybe don't live in a library district, but your children go to Kankakee schools, they can get a library card. So then your family has like access to our items and things like that. But yeah, it's like just talking to us. We're willing to like tell you everything that is available.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So sometimes libraries feel, oh, it's complicated, or there's these doors or barriers, or they want to just find me, or maybe I have $20 that I still owe them from that book that I never returned. I never returned the like Magic Tree House when I was 12.
Oh my god!
And
that should be taken off.
They know
my picture.
Yes. So, and that's not true. And so I just want to like let people know, like, we're not trying to keep. Yeah, we're not.
You come in, you owe us money, lady.
Yes.
We don't do that. Cool. We don't do that.
Yeah.
I never returned a copy of.
Oh my gosh!
Of the Grapes of breath
this.
to the Mantino Public Library when I was in high school.
Library confession.
Yeah.
That should be a segment.
That should be a
Honestly,
segment. Yeah, it really should be. That's
be
a whole
expunged
nother.
from your record.
That's a.
I'm going to tell you, your record is, if you have not been back, your record is probably gone.
Oh, that's
You're
true.
probably in the clear. So
I think so because I did check out some books at the Mantino
good,
Library
Yeah.
recently.
I
Even though
have 7 years.
my home library is Bradley, but it's in the same.
Oh yeah.
that's
It's
yeah,
in
and
the
that's
same
the cool
district,
thing too.
you know,
is,
or the same region.
Mhm.
yeah.
So yeah, check out the Kankakee Public Library and all socials. You know, their website. Better yet, just stroll into the Kankakee Public
you go.
Library.
Even better.
Come see our
Yeah.
faces.
You can see us in person now. So.
Yeah. So thank you, ladies, so much
Thank
for
you.
Thank you for
taking time
having
out.
us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. For taking time out of your day to be here, and also special shout out to our patron Jesse Arsenal for. He's the one that actually turned me on first to let him, because I had no idea about the TikTok with Obama yet until he was like, hey, he messaged me one day. He's like, did you see this? I was like, no, I didn't. He's like, you should do an episode on this. And I was like, okay, I'm in. Like, you don't have to twist my arm. Like, this sounds awesome. So shout out to Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
For that. Yeah. That's, I take our patrons seriously.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.